All right, so are, are we like accelerating into a singularity of stupidity? I mean, some of this week's gaming news is just straight up bonkers.
Oh, yeah. It's like the internet decided to mainline Red Bull and sugar, then just started spitting out headlines.
Exactly. But that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
To try to make sense of the digital chaos. Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive into the most noteworthy and sometimes head-scratching gaming news of the week.
We've got our trusty expert guide with us again to help us navigate the madness.
And of course, we'll be diving into the comments too, see what the gaming community's been saying about it all. You know, the good takes the bad, takes the hilarious memes, the whole shebang.
It's always fascinating to see how gamers react to this stuff. Sometimes they're spot on with their analysis, sometimes they're way off base, but it's always entertaining.
Speaking of off base, let's talk about Gamestop. They're back in the headlines, but not for the reasons some might have hoped. Their CEO's been ranting about wokeness and how it's alienating core customers.
Yeah, that was a choice, like a really baffling one. It's like they're completely out of touch with the reality of their customer
It's
base.
like they're stuck in their early 2000s when dude bro culture reigned supreme.
Hmm.
Newsflash, gamers are a diverse bunch these days, and this whole us versus them mentality is not only outdated, it's bad for business.
Exactly, and the comments section was quick to point that out. One highly upvoted comment said, "Sir, this is a Wendy's. I mean, GameStop. Nobody's looking for political takes here, just good deals on games."
Mic drop. Okay, so GameStop's clearly struggling to find its footing, but Sony doesn't seem to be doing much better. They just announced the PS5 Pro, and gamers are less than impressed.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a misstep. No disk drive, a hefty price tag for what feels like a minor upgrade. Even the diehard PlayStation fans are hesitant.
It's like they forgot that not everyone has a bottomless pit of money for gaming gadgets.
Right, and the top comments reflect that. A lot of them are along the lines of, "I'll stick with my PS5 until it literally catches fire, thanks."
It's like they overestimated the allure of raw power and forgot about practical concerns like price and backwards compatibility.
Speaking of price, let's talk about the eternal debate. Game prices. Someone in the comments compared it to playing slots in Vegas. A quarter can last you ages, but are you actually winning anything?
That's a great analogy. Just because a game offers 100 hours of playtime doesn't mean it's actually good value, right?
Exactly. Gamers are becoming more discerning. They're looking beyond sheer playtime. They want compelling stories, engaging mechanics, a feeling that their time was well spent. Just churning out endless content isn't enough anymore.
And the comments reflect that shift in thinking. One downvoted comment got absolutely roasted for saying, gamers are so entitled these days, complaining got a $60 game back in my day.
Yeah, that nostalgic view is definitely not resonating with the generation used to free-to-play games and subscription services.
Okay, before we descend too far into cynicism, let's talk about something genuinely heartwarming. There's this amazing artist on Reddit who keeps blowing everyone away with their incredible game-inspired artwork.
Oh yeah, I saw that. This week it was a breathtaking Elden Ring piece.
The detail was insane,
Yeah.
and the comments were just flowed with praise.
It's a good reminder that online spaces can foster genuine community and appreciation for art.
Exactly. It seems like everyone from hardcore gamers to casual players can bond over a shared love for a game's world and characters.
This artist's talent and humility clearly struck a chord.
Speaking of striking a chord, nostalgia alert. Bioshock is officially old enough to vote and get drafted.
Wow, time flies when you're fighting big daddies, I guess.
It's wild to think that game came out almost 20 years ago.
It really is a testament to the game's lasting impact. Even after all these years, players are still captivated by its atmosphere, story, and philosophical themes.
It's definitely aged better than some other games from that era. Oh, and someone shared a screenshot of that mind-bending Psycho Mantis fight from Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh man, that fight was epic. I remember the first time I played it, I was completely blown away.
Me too. And the comments section was a glorious wave of, "You like Castlevania, don't you?" and virtual PTSD flashbacks.
Some things just stay with you. It's a perfect example of how breaking the fourth wall at the right time can create a truly unforgettable gaming moment.
Now here's where things get interesting. There's a wave of AAA games coming out of China. And we're not talking about cheap knockoffs. We're talking stunning visuals, innovative gameplay, a commitment to quality that's turning heads.
Yeah, it's been really impressive to see. They're blending Eastern and Western influences, pushing boundaries, and forcing the industry to take notice.
Some of the comments were even speculating that this could be a major power shift in the gaming landscape, with China taking the lead.
It's definitely a possibility. They have the talent, the resources, and the ambition to make it happen.
One commenter had a slightly less optimistic take, though, saying, I give it 5 years before the CCP steps in and ruins it for everyone. There's definitely a valid concern about censorship and creative freedom, especially as the Chinese gaming industry continues to grow.
It's a complex situation, and it's important to be aware of the potential downsides alongside the exciting possibilities.
Okay, let's unpack Amazon's failed attempt at creating a Steam competitor. Their former VP basically admitted they never cracked the code, which, duh.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly rocket science. They tried to throw money at the problem, but they underestimated Steam's appeal.
It's not just a storefront, it's a community, a platform, an ecosystem that gamers are invested in.
Exactly. And of course, the comment section was brutal. My personal favorite. They tried everything except releasing a quality product.
Ouch. All right, let's talk about the Days Gone remaster debacle. You needed the physical copy to get the $10 upgrade, even if you already owned it digitally.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that. It's just another example of publishers nickel and diming players.
And the top comment summed it up perfectly. Literally no reason to buy the remaster. It already runs 60 FPS on PS5. Mic drop.
It shows that gamers aren't easily fooled anymore. They're aware of the value proposition and they're not afraid to call out shady practices.
Okay, brace yourselves for some development drama. Bioshock creator Ken Levine just shut down his studio after years of development hell.
Yeah, that was a bummer to hear. Apparently their game was stuck in a cycle of reboots and missed deadlines.
It's a stark reminder that even legendary figures in gaming can fall prey to the industry's challenges.
Crunch culture, unrealistic expectations, the pressure to deliver a hit. It can take a toll on even the most experienced teams.
And the internet, being the internet, had a field day with this one. One commenter said, Ken seems to be a headache to work with.
And another pointed out the irony, saying, and wasn't Irrational plagued by development issues too? The original Bioshock was delayed more times than I could count.
It does make you wonder if there were some underlying management or creative clashes.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale about the complexities of game development. Even brilliant minds can stumble.
All right, let's move on to Call of Duty, which is apparently having a midlife crisis. They've introduced a new 3-tiered battle pass system, and gamers are not thrilled.
Yeah, it's another case of the constant tug-of-war between monetization and creative integrity.
They're trying to squeeze every last penny out of players, but the influx of wacky cosmetics in a supposedly gritty military shooter feels off.
One comment that got a lot of upvotes was, my God, my housemate tried the new COD on Game Pass and I didn't even recognize it anymore. Who the fuck wants Ninja Turtles and Angels in a Cold War game?
It's like they're trying to appeal to everyone and ending up appealing to no one.
Exactly. They're so focused on monetization schemes that they're forgetting what made the game appealing in the first place.
And on the other end of the spectrum, we have the developers of Halo Infinite, who are apparently very happy with Season 2, despite the player base dwindling faster than a Spartan's shields under fire.
Oh yeah, classic PR spin. They're trying to put a positive spin on things, even when the reality on the ground tells a different story.
It's like watching someone try to convince themselves that their sinking ship is just taking on ballast. But hey, let's not end on a sour note. Kingdom Come. Deliverance 2 is killing it. The blend of historical accuracy, deep RPG mechanics, and surprisingly hilarious writing has won over critics and players alike.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to see a game that prioritizes story, character, and a world that feels real and lived in.
It's a welcome change from the trend of open-world games that are all about scale and spectacle but lack depth.
The comments were full of praise. One player said, "Love the game. It might have some of the most hilarious scenes in video gaming."
Another added, "That drunken bender quest in KCD1 is still my favorite quest of all time."
It proves that humor and memorable moments can elevate a game beyond just mechanics and graphics.
Absolutely. But even success stories have their shadows. The studio behind KCD2 recently laid off their Seattle team, leading to a lot of speculation in the comments.
It's a reminder of the volatility of the game industry.
Even studios riding high on critical and commercial success are subject to market forces, budget constraints, and the ever-present risk of layoffs.
It's a side of the industry that often gets overlooked amidst the hype and excitement.
Speaking of industry shakeups, CD Projekt Red, the folks behind Cyberpunk 2077, and the Witcher series just announced massive job cuts.
Yeah, that was a big one. It raises some serious questions about their future direction.
The gaming landscape is ruthlessly competitive, and even established studios aren't immune to the challenges of changing market trends and the rising costs of development.
Absolutely. But then there's Team Fortress 2. Remember that old gem? Well, Valve just open sourced the game's code, and the internet collectively lost its mind.
This is huge. It could breathe new life into the game, giving the community the power to create mods, fix bugs, and potentially even develop new content.
The comments were a mix of excitement and bewilderment. One person said, "What the fuck, for real? That's like absolutely huge, but also sad, lol."
Another added, "I wonder what this means for the game, though. Official community updates." It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out.
Right. It could be a turning point not just for Team Fortress 2, but for how developers interact with their communities and embrace player-driven content.
And the best part? A 17-year-old already managed to optimize the game in less than a week. Some were joking that it took a teenager to do what Valve couldn't be bothered with for years.
It's a testament to the passion and talent within the gaming community. When you empower players with the tools and freedom to tinker, amazing things can happen.
But for every heartwarming story like that, there's a reminder that the gaming world can be a bit Wild West. This young gamer just exposed a major flaw in GTA Online's anti-cheat system. Turns out all you had to do was plug your controller into a different port.
Oh, wow, really? That's creative.
Right. It just goes to show that even the most sophisticated systems can have unexpected vulnerabilities.
It's a constant arms race between developers and those determined to exploit the system.
And Rockstar isn't taking this lying down. They've announced a major update for GTA V on PC, including ray tracing and, wait for it, kernel-based anti-cheat protections.
Whoa. Okay, that's a bold move. Kernel-level anti-cheat is controversial because it digs deep into your system, raising privacy concerns.
Yeah, gamers are already wary of invasive software, and this is likely to stir up even more debate. The comments were predictably mixed. One simply said, bleh. Another added, I hope this becomes illegal. Any software like that has no business operating at kernel level.
It reflects a growing distrust between gamers and developers when it comes to anti-cheat measures.
On one hand, cheating ruins the experience for everyone. On the other, players are rightfully concerned about their privacy and the potential for overreach. It's a tricky situation with no easy answers.
Speaking of tricky situations, the PSVR 2 is finally here. If you're willing to shell out over $500 for the headset alone.
One commenter joked, also no disk drive. All my games are on disk. The sarcasm is palpable.
It raises the age-old question of VR's accessibility. The technology is impressive, but that price tag is a major barrier to entry.
It's like they're saying VR is the future, but only for the wealthy.
Right. And speaking of VR and things that cost a lot of money, rumor has it Half-Life, Alex might be getting a sequel, and it could be a PlayStation exclusive.
Now, that would be a major win for Sony. Half-Life is a legendary franchise, and a VR exclusive on the PSVR 2 would be a massive system seller.
Yeah, but PC gamers are understandably not thrilled about the idea.
One commented, I hope it's not PlayStation exclusive, it'd be a waste. Another, perhaps more realistically, said, they most likely won't make it exclusive. Kill the Justice League flopped hard, and they need to do numbers with their next project.
Exclusivity deals can be tempting, but they also risk alienating a huge chunk of your potential audience.
And for a studio like Rocksteady, who are trying to bounce back from a flop, limiting themselves to just PlayStation owners wouldn't be the smartest move.
Agreed. Let's switch gears to something a bit more casual. Among Us VR is getting some awesome new roles. Shapeshifter, Guardian Angel Scientist. It's like Among Us on steroids, and I'm here for it.
It's a great way to keep the game fresh and inject new strategic possibilities.
New roles mean new ways to deceive and new ways to uncover the imposter, which is the heart of what makes Among Us so fun.
And one commenter had a hilarious thought. Just wait until you can play MGS on mobile and he reads your search history. Imagine Psycho Mantis in VR roasting you for your questionable browsing habits. Terrifying, yet strangely compelling.
It speaks to the potential of mobile gaming to deliver truly immersive and personalized experiences. As technology improves, the lines between mobile and traditional platforms continue to blur. Soon, anything could be possible.
Speaking of things that blur the lines between fun and questionable decisions, someone asked, how much is your Steam account worth? And the internet responded with a glorious display of digital hoarding.
It's a fascinating glimpse into the psychology of ownership in the digital age.
For some, it's about having access to a vast library. For others, it's about completing collections or chasing rare achievements.
One person had over 11,000 games. Another had racked up over 36,000 hours of playtime.
One commenter, clearly concerned, said, Steam is roughly 22 years old. With 11,915 games owned, you bought approx 1.4 games a day since Steam launched 22 years ago. You, sir, have a problem.
It's like a digital version of those reality shows about hoarding, except Instead of overflowing closets, it's an overflowing hard drive.
It raises questions about value consumerism and the psychology of collecting in a digital world. And it's not just about full games. One commenter pointed out, so much of Steam is hoarding. 90% of the bundle buyers are hoarders.
It's the fear of missing out the allure of a good deal, even if you'll never play half the games.
It's a fascinating phenomenon, and one that's only becoming more prevalent as digital storefronts continue to grow. But even with all these games at our fingertips, sometimes we crave something new, something off the beaten path. That's where a site called Mini Review comes in. It's a platform dedicated to showcasing and reviewing indie games.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a great resource for gamers looking beyond the AAA blockbusters. The indie scene is bursting with creativity, and a platform like Mini Review helps those hidden gems get the attention they deserve.
The comments were full of praise for the site.
One person said, and everyone go check out Mini Review's website. It's full of gems to discover. Another added, and since then I use the app for searching good games. One silly thing I did was reading reviews for games I already purchased. Haha, what a good time to live.
It shows that gamers are hungry for curated experiences, for recommendations that cut through the noise and help them find something truly unique.
All right, before we wrap up part 1 of this digital odyssey, let's end on a head-scratcher. The Epic Game Store is giving away Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 for free on mobile.
Wait, really? That's interesting.
It's a bold move, considering these are classic PC games, but it does speak to Epic's aggressive push into the mobile market. They're really trying to grab a slice of that lucrative pie.
Makes sense. But is there a catch?
There's always a catch. Apparently, the mobile versions are riddled with ads.
Oh, no. Seriously.
One commenter said, that's what happens when people don't complain. Another added, mobile platform has far too many people who are willing to tolerate anything.
It's a stark difference between the PC and mobile gaming landscapes. Monetization strategies on mobile can be much more aggressive, and the tolerance for intrusive ads is sadly much higher.
And speaking of Epic's mobile ambitions, their store is apparently a bit of a mess. One commenter said, Epic is too stupid for that. They still think free games will carry them to success no matter what. It's been 5 or 6 years since the Epic Store released on PC, and you still can't choose a profile picture. A profile picture, the most basic thing on earth.
It's a reminder that user experience matters even in the age of free games and constant content bombardment. Sometimes the simplest things can make or break a platform, and neglecting the basics can be costly in the long run.
So after sifting through this week's digital landfill, what have we learned?
That's a good question.
It seems the gaming industry is a fascinating mix of innovation, questionable decisions, and a whole lot of passionate and sometimes hilarious gamers.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's like they're playing on the hardest difficulty setting, you know? And not in a fun way.
Yeah, seriously, like every week there's another headline that makes you go, wait, what? But I guess that's what keeps things interesting, right? Speaking of interesting, Shadle, remember Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
Oh man, classic.
The rumor mill's churning with whispers of a potential remaster.
Now that's a franchise that's ripe for a revival. Skateboarding is having a moment right now, and a well-executed remaster could tap into that wave of nostalgia while also attracting a whole new generation of players.
I mean, I'd be down for it, but some fans are understandably cautious. There have been so many disappointing remasters lately that it's hard to get excited without a healthy dose of skepticism.
Oh yeah, for sure. One commenter said, just take whatever comes from this leaker with a lot of salt. I think that's a good approach.
Nostalgia is a powerful drug, but it can't mask a subpar product.
Exactly. Developers need to approach remasters with respect for the original while also modernizing them in a way that feels authentic.
From the nostalgia vault to the what were they thinking file, the Epic Game Store is giving away Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 for free on mobile.
What, they're giving away both games? For free?
Yep.
That's wild. But it makes sense though, right? That's a way for them to try to get more people onto their mobile platform.
Exactly. But there's a catch. The mobile versions are apparently loaded with ads.
Oh, come on. Seriously. Like unskippable ads.
Apparently. One commenter said that's what happens when people don't complain. Another added, mobile platform has far too many people who are willing to tolerate anything.
It's sad but true. The tolerance for intrusive ads on mobile is way higher than it is on PC.
And speaking of Epic's mobile ambitions, their store is apparently still a bit of a mess. One commenter was particularly brutal, saying, Epic is too stupid for that. They still think free games will carry them to success, no matter what. It's been like 5 or 6 years since the Epic Store released on PC, and you still can't choose a profile picture. A profile pic, the most basic thing on Earth.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Like, you'd think they would have figured that out by now.
You'd think so, right? But apparently not. Okay, enough about Epic's mobile misadventures. Let's talk about something that's actually working for now. Among Us VR is getting some awesome new roles. Shapeshifter Guardian Angel Scientist. It's like Among Us on steroids.
I am so here for that.
Right. New roles mean new ways to deceive and new ways to uncover the imposter.
Which is what makes the game so fun.
Exactly. And one commenter had a thought that's both hilarious and terrifying. Just wait until you can play MGS on mobile and he reads your search history.
Oh my god, imagine Psycho Mantis in VR roasting you for all your questionable Google searches.
I would die.
Right. But it speaks to the potential of mobile gaming to deliver truly immersive and personalized experiences.
As mobile technology gets better, the line between mobile gaming and traditional platforms is blurring more and more.
Soon, anything could be possible. Okay, moving on to something a little less terrifying. The PSVR 2 is finally here.
Assuming you're willing to drop over $500 for the headset.
Yikes. That's a lot of money.
One commenter joked, also no disk drive, all my games are on disk.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great piece of tech, but that price tag is a major barrier to entry for a lot of people.
It's like they're saying VR is the future, but only for the wealthy.
And speaking of VR and things that cost a lot of money, rumor has it Half-Life, Alex might be getting a sequel, and it could be a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, wow. That would be huge for Sony.
Right. Half-Life is a legendary franchise, and a VR exclusive on PSVR 2 would be a massive system seller.
But PC gamers are predictably not thrilled about the idea. One commented, I hope it's not PlayStation exclusive, it'd be a waste. Another, more realistically, said they most likely won't make it exclusive. Kill the Justice League flopped hard, and they need to do numbers with their next project.
It's true. Exclusivity deals can be lucrative, but they also risk alienating a large portion of your potential audience.
And for a studio like Rocksteady, trying to recover from a high-profile flop, limiting themselves to just PlayStation owners wouldn't be the smartest move.
Agreed. Speaking of fan bases, remember Team Fortress 2? That old gem is back in the spotlight because Valve just open-sourced the game's code.
I know, right? The internet went wild.
It's a huge move. It could breathe new life into the game.
The comments were a mix of excitement and bewilderment. One person said, what the fuck, for real? That's like absolutely huge, but also sad lol. Another added, I wonder what this means for the game, though, official community updates.
It'll be interesting to see how Valve handles this and whether it sets a precedent for other developers.
And the best part is a 17-year-old already managed to optimize the game in less than a week. Some were joking that it took a teenager to do what Valve couldn't be bothered with for years.
It's pretty amazing. It's a reminder that sometimes the most innovative solutions come from unexpected places.
Of course, for every heartwarming story about community ingenuity, there's a reminder that the gaming world can be a bit chaotic. This young gamer just exposed a major flaw in GTA Online's anti-cheat system. Turns out all you had to do was plug your controller into a different port.
Wait, what? Seriously?
Yep. Just goes to show that even the most sophisticated systems can have unexpected vulnerabilities.
It's a constant arms race.
And Rockstar has announced a major update for GTA V on PC, including ray tracing and kernel-based anti-cheat protections.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a bold move.
Right. Kernel-level anti-cheat is controversial because it digs deep into your system and raises some privacy concerns. The comments were predictably polarized. One person simply said, bleh. Another added, I hope this becomes illegal. Any software like that has no business operating at kernel level.
It reflects a growing distrust between gamers and developers when it comes to anti-cheat measures.
On one hand, cheating ruins the experience for everyone. On the other hand, players are rightfully concerned about their privacy and the potential for overreach.
It's a tricky situation with no easy answers. Well, one thing's for sure, the world of gaming never ceases to amaze and occasionally baffle. We've got nostalgia-fueled remasters, mobile mayhem, and community-driven revivals.
And that's just scratching the surface. Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up this week's deep dive into the gaming news black hole. We've covered a lot of ground, from corporate facepalms to community wins.
It's been a wild ride, that's for sure. But before we call it a day, let's dig into a few more stories that caught our attention.
Sounds good. What's first on the docket?
Well, let's talk about the value of our digital libraries. Remember that thread where someone asked, how much is your Steam account worth?
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
Oh.
The internet did not disappoint with its display of digital hoarding.
It was pretty amazing. One person had over 11,000 games. Another had racked up over 36,000 hours of playtime.
It's like a digital episode of Hoarders, except instead of overflowing closets, it's an overflowing hard drive.
Right. And the comments were a mix of awe, envy, and maybe a little bit of concern.
One commenter was basically staging an intervention saying, Steam is roughly 22 years old. With 11,915 games owned, you bought approximately 1.4 games a day since Steam launched 22 years ago. You, sir, have a problem.
It's like a car crash you can't look away from. But it does raise some interesting questions about the psychology of collecting in the digital age.
Totally.
Right.
Why do we feel the need to amass these huge libraries of games, even if we'll never play them all?
It's a good question. I think for some people, it's about having access to a vast library, the comfort of knowing they have every game they could ever want.
Right, like a digital security blanket.
Exactly. For others, it's about the thrill of the hunt, snagging every bundle deal and completing their collection.
It's a digital version of stamp collecting or something.
Maybe. But whatever the reason, it's clear that digital hoarding is a real phenomenon, and it's only going to become more prevalent as digital storefronts continue to grow.
And as the number of games we own grows exponentially, so too does the challenge of actually finding something good to play.
Right. It's like having 1,000 channels on TV, but nothing's on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But luckily, there are resources out there to help us navigate the digital deluge, like a site called Mini Review, which is dedicated to showcasing and reviewing indie games.
Oh, that's cool. I always heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a great resource for gamers who are looking for something a little different, something off the beaten path. The indie scene is bursting with creativity, and Mini Review helps those hidden gems get the attention they deserve.
I'll have to check that out.
You should. The comments about it are really positive. One person said, and everyone go check out Mini Review's website. It's full of gems to discover.
Nice.
And another added, and since then I use the app for searching good games. One silly thing I did was reading reviews for games I already purchased. Haha, what a good time to live.
That's awesome. It's great to see a platform that's dedicated to supporting indie developers and helping gamers find truly unique experiences.
Well, it seems like we've come full circle from the overwhelming vastness of digital libraries to the focused curation of indie gems.
It's a reminder that gaming is a diverse and ever-evolving landscape. There's something out there for everyone, whether you're a hardcore collector, a casual player, or an indie enthusiast.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. So as we wrap up this week's deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway is this. The gaming world is full of surprises, contradictions, and a whole lot of passion. And that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the gaming news vortex. Until next time, stay curious, keep playing, and maybe try something new. You never know what hidden gem you might discover.